Hello, thanks for taking the time just to click on that link and to listen in. The reflection that I have for you today is about the help that God gives us, the fact that God is our helper. You know, a lot of Christians struggle to understand how it is that God actually helps us. And I get that, I understand it. If you consider things like family tragedies, career disappointments, illness, financial difficulties, those things can cause a lot of people to be pessimistic about God even being for them, never mind God actually helping them. And the unfortunate result very often is there's a slowdown in engagement with God. There's a communication breakdown. People struggle to pray. People even cease to pray because God's not helping, right? But maybe that's because they've never really quite figured out what prayer is, why we do it, and how we do it. You know, I'm one of those people who struggles with prayer. I really do. Developing a consistent prayer life is a spiritual struggle for me. And that's why I have a little card on my desk with the word pray on it. This is it right in front of me every day. Pray. I look at it every day. It's a reminder to me to pray, because it's something that I struggle with. But knowing what prayer is all about is what's going to help me understand how God will provide, how God will bring aid and assistance, how God might make it easier or possible for me to do something, how God might help me. I need to know what prayer is so that I can engage with God in that way. You know, a couple of things that I've learned about prayer over the years is that prayer is not intended to be like a good luck charm, right? I mean, it's not like you throw up a prayer before a sports game and then you're going to win because God's going to be on your side. That's not prayer. Prayer is also not something that you do to tick a box. You know, like if I say my prayers every night, then I'm going to be good with God. That's not prayer. And perhaps the biggest thing that prayer is not is that it's not a vending machine. You know, many people look at prayer like a vending machine. You know, where you put in $1 or 5 with inflation. You know, and you punch in what you want, and the machine gives it to you. And so a lot of people see prayer this way. You ask God for something and you're going to get it. I mean, it reminds me of some of the crazy faith stuff that some Christians have been taught. You know, just name it and claim it and, you know, it'll be yours. No, prayer is two things, really. Prayer is about being in the presence of God, number one, right? Prayer is about loving God. And secondly, prayer is praying on behalf of others, loving our neighbor. Prayer is how we converse with God and how we converse with God on behalf of other people. In Isaiah 55, verses 8 and 9, God says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways." Right? For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, my thoughts than your thoughts, higher than your thoughts, right? I think when you read verses like that, you might say to yourself, this is why the phrase, "your will be done," you know, in the Lord's Prayer, "your will be done," they really are like the hardest four words of prayer that there are. Your will be done. Your ways are higher than my ways. Your thoughts are higher than my thoughts. And then we got to say, "Your will be done." That's hard, especially in times of need, and especially when you need help. Those 4 words of prayer acknowledge that God's ways and God's thoughts are higher than ours. Those 4 words of prayer submit to the ways and the thoughts of God, and that is hard because we want outcomes. We want to pray for outcomes, not for thoughts. But sometimes our thoughts coincide with God's thoughts. Sometimes our prayers are answered just the way that we hoped they would be. Sometimes our prayers are answered, but it's in a way that we weren't anticipating, and God's thoughts work out better than our own thoughts. And sometimes it's as if our prayers go unanswered. It's as if God is silent to our thoughts. And perhaps it's because it's not time for God's plan to be revealed, or perhaps it's a request that God knows is not going to help us. There are a lot of reasons for unanswered prayer. But that should not discourage us from calling on the name of the Lord in prayer. Help comes from the Lord, and prayer puts us in his presence. And so when your heart and your mind are focused on him, right, despite the need, you begin to look at him and he begins to look at you. And even if the prayer goes unanswered, or the help that you think you require is unheeded, being in his presence begins to ground you. It begins to ground you. And that is going to help you. The answer is to keep on praying. Psalm 42 verses 5 and 6 says, "Why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you disquieted within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my help and my God." This is a plea for help within your own soul. When you've become so disheartened because of unanswered prayer. And it's a reminder to hope in God, to remember that he is your help and your God, right? And to continually praise him as a result. And so if you've stopped praying and speaking to God for whatever reason, and you've been seeking God over an issue where you need his help, I want to encourage you to begin to praise him again. Begin to pray to him again. So may you learn to love God by spending time in his presence in prayer. May you love others by offering up their names to God. And if you haven't mastered prayer, don't worry, just keep doing it. Perhaps the biggest leap of faith and really the biggest mark of faith is to truly pray, "Your will be done. Your will be done." And then take a step back and allow things to happen as God wills them. May God bless you and keep you.